Thanks for joining me today for Coffee with Bill. I'm your host, Bill Rose, and my guest today is Don Berry, tour guide extraordinaire. Most of you don't know he does all the tours when the boats come in and stuff like that. So really quick, things you didn't know.
Okay, shoot.
Okay, you can get an alien abduction insurance for a low price of $19.95.
Really?
In St. Lawrence, from the St. Lawrence Agency in Altamonte Springs, Florida. Now, this is a $10 million coverage.
Wow. Is this like aliens from another country or
no, aliens from
outer space?
Outer space,
okay.
But you cannot collect it unless you return to Earth.
Ah, yeah. There's catch to everything.
Yeah, and you have to have an authorized onboard alien signature.
Aha. Okay.
To collect that money.
That'd be $19 well spent. It really would.
Yeah. Anyways, Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, Pinterest, and Instagram are all banned in China.
Really?
Coming from a country where you can only have 2 children. Mm-hmm. Millennials would freak out about the fact that they couldn't use the internet.
Yes, they would.
If they were there.
There's a lot of non-millennials that would probably freak out.
Now, this one I haven't tried this one out. Maybe you've done this, or you might know a little bit about science. Apple is fruity.
Okay.
Potato is bland. Onion is strong. But other than the texture, if you plug your nose and eat all 3, they taste the same.
Really?
That's because 99% of tasting comes from your sense of smell.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I think that's where the COVID bug came in. If you lost your sense of smell, you lost your sense of taste.
So you could just eat a whole onion thinking you're eating an apple.
Yeah.
Now for the weather, out to our chief meteorologist, Bobby Blackwater.
Hey, this is your chief meteorologist, Bobby Blackwater. Your forecast for Monday is going to be a high 84 and a low of 67, partly cloudy. So there might be a 20% chance of rain. That usually means it's not going to, but who knows? Anything's possible. Back to you.
Okay, Don.
Yes, sir.
This day in history.
Mm-hmm.
1973, U.S. involvement in Vietnam ends.
Yes, it did.
And you may have been part of this because I wasn't even born yet. 1969, Woodstock Music Art Fair opens its doors to participants and spectators.
I'd like to have been involved, but I was only 13, so I couldn't do that.
Now, this is the one I said you better study up on your history. What happened in 1990? Baseball.
1990 in baseball.
Cardinals.
St. Louis Cardinals. Not sure.
M.G. McGuire. What did he do?
Mark McGuire?
Yeah.
In 1990? He wasn't with them yet.
It says 1990 on here.
He was still in Oakland.
Maybe they put it on. Anyways, Mark McGuire is first to hit 30 home runs in each of his first 4 seasons. Maybe that was with Oakland.
He was with Oakland still, because he didn't come to St. Louis till 96.
Okay. But yeah, he did that. So in the news now, to our chief correspondent, Bobby Blackwater, with some breaking news out of Florida. Well, he's not in Florida, but the news is
could be in Florida.
He could be in Florida.
Hey, this is your chief correspondent, Bobby Blackwater. Hey, today I'm just using this little mic here, and it's got one of them little mufflers in there. It looks like a UK guardsman cap there. Anyways, if you looked at the news, former President Donald Trump's house was raided. Don't know why. We already know that UFOs and Bigfoot ain't real. Back to you.
All right, Don. I called this a title for this podcast, "Fear Not," and this I've been watching ID Discovery, so I've been watching a lot of. It's a series called The Devil Among Us, and this one particularly caught my eye. Was a documentary about a senseless quadruple homicide and the killer who took 2 hostages. Now, we ain't going to talk about the crime, but we're going to talk a little bit about the hostage part. A grandmother and an adult granddaughter were taken hostage following the murders, and during this ordeal, he proceeded to tell them what he had just done. How would you feel in their shoes as a Christian? You're sitting there, a guy walks into your house, sits down in your late husband's recliner, and tells you he just murdered 4 people. What's the first thoughts through your mind? Now, you're a Christian.
Sure. It'd be difficult. I mean, you worked around people who had done heinous crime, and so have I. And it kind of reminds me, I was one of the first people to go up to Sheraton Prison when they opened their sexually violent persons ward with the state. And there was a man there who... he didn't look any different than you or I, and was very friendly, very outgoing. If we needed to get something cleaned up, he'd jump in and help. And, he was just a pretty decent acting person until I got to talking to him. We had a lot of time. And I started talking to him, and he admitted to me that in his life, he says, I'm in here for about 10 convictions, but he said, in my lifetime, he says, I've probably raped and had sex with over 280 children. And there's something in your soul that just,
I've had a similar experience.
Rips you in half. You just want to push the guy away, or you knock him to his feet or something. It's just, you want to be away from that because it's just pure evil.
Just as we're sitting here today, across the table, I had the same incident happen where a guy said, apparently the girl, he attacked a girl on the jogging path. He says, apparently I didn't sharpen my knife good enough. And when he said that statement, I was like, what is in this guy's head?
Yeah.
But now talking about some of these things, and we've experienced guys who have been incarcerated. As a Christian, I think I might still have a little fear, but there's a part of me that wants to tell myself, fear not, because God is with me.
Exactly.
I still think I might have fear if somebody came into my house with a pistol and a knife and told me the story he did, but then I think I would have to revert back to God and prayer and stuff like that. And this granddaughter stated that her grandmother wasn't even rattled. Of course, she'd been working in the mill since she was 14. And then she offered to pray for him and minister to him, and then cooked him lunch.
Wow.
That's the kind of faith that I hope I have when encountering something like that, or fear. I don't call it fear of death, but a definite fear that I just turn to faith. I know that even when I was told I had cancer, or what they thought, a part of me says, well, where I'm going, it's going to be better anyways. So that kind of helped me out with my fear. I did turn to God for that. How do you think we can overcome fear and be an example like that grandmother in a situation?
I think you just
like
have
that?
to, Brother Chris has had a great class with this, the darkness of evil. And, there is a dark side to this world. And we're up against it constantly. And I think, he talked this last week about putting on the full armor of God. And that's to be prayed up and stored up and be ready for whatever the devil's going to throw at you. And maybe it's something simple, or maybe it'd be something heinous like this poor lady had to go through. I used to, every day when I would drive out to work, I would pray on my way out there. I would just pray, hey, get me home safe, get the guys that I work with safe, keep all of us in good shape out here today. And I had an incident, and I hate to always talk about those days, but that's when I was up against a lot of evil, because it's just an evil place out there. I had a guy, he said he was having trouble with something in his room. And I made the mistake of going in there and didn't tell my buddy where I was at. That was before we had the devices to signal that we needed help. And I went in there, And as soon as I did, he jumped up on his bed and then jumped over in front of the door, and he says, "Now we're going to fight." He says, "You're not getting out this door till we
What was you
till we
thinking
fight."
then?
I was thinking, "Oh boy, this ain't going to be good." This guy's like 6'6".
Right.
He's, probably 280. And I'm thinking, this is not going to end good for Don Barry. And I said, "Well, no, we're not going to fight." I said, "You're going to move away from the door, and I'm going to walk away, and you're not going to get in trouble." But I said, you don't think of the consequences you're going to be up against if we do have to fight.
Right.
Whether you beat me or you don't, you're going to have a lot of problems. And he started laughing, and he says, "You think I'm worried about that?" And I said, "Well, I don't know, but I said, something to think about." I said, "Why do you want to fight me to begin with?" And I just kept talking to him because I knew it was a matter of time. Somebody was going to say, "Hey, where's he at?" And they would come and find me. And that's what happened. And I kept him occupied long enough that two of the guys that worked with me saw what was going on and hit that door as hard as they could. And down he went, and that was the end of it. But the fear was there, but at least I had the forethought to keep him occupied and try to steer him away from whatever anger he had going against me.
And I think that's what this lady did. She kept calm and treated him like a human being.
Yeah.
I tell myself this, and I don't know if you ever tell yourself this. We're at the age now that we've been a lot. You've encountered some things. I got beat down there at the prison pretty bad. I'm to the point where I don't fear. I try to tell myself, don't fear death, because there's something better beyond.
Sure.
And the inevitable is going to happen. We're all going to die.
Right.
Some may die sooner than others.
Unless Jesus comes back.
Yeah. And it could be any situation.
Sure.
It could be a situation that this lady was in, although this couple did survive, or it could be natural causes.
Sure.
Sooner or later, we're going.
Right.
And this is the scripture, and I'm sure you've heard of this, Matthew 10:28. It says, "Do not fear those who kill the body, but are unable to kill the soul. But rather fear him who is able to destroy both the soul and the body in hell." Mm-hmm. So if you can keep that in mind, this body's only here for a short time.
Right.
But only fear him who can destroy the body and the soul. So that's kind of comforting to know that no matter what happens here, he's the ultimate judge. And he takes care of his children. The other one I got was Isaiah 41:10. It says, "Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be anxious. Don't have an anxious look about you, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. Surely I will help you. Surely I will uphold you with my righteous hand." So when I read those scriptures, how does that help you?
Oh, it reassures you as a Christian. It makes you realize where your strength does come from, and that no matter how dark the day is, no matter how threatening the day is, you're not alone.
We take so much importance about what we do here on earth, when our most important goal should be focusing on him and being with him in heaven.
Right.
And if you have that, I guess, mentality, if you can get that mentality ingrained in your head, you can overcome fear.
Right.
Is that fair to say?
Sure.
All right. Well, I want to, and a reminder, always live as a Christian, ready to minister. That's what this lady did.
Sure.
Even in a situation like that, and focus on eternal life, not the one here on earth.
Right.
I wanted to thank you for joining me today, and we have Saturday services at 5 p.m. Sunday services at 10:30, and come a little earlier and enjoy some coffee. And remember,
you can have coffee with Bill.
Yeah, coffee with Bill.
Yeah.
Love God, love people, and
Try to live like Jesus.
all right, this is the end.
All right.